So, after collecting every single of those red star rings, of course, in the Lava Mountain, we got ourselves the 7th and the final Chaos Emerald in Sonic Lost World. And conveniently enough, is the Silver Chaos Emeralds, which, yes, the color order of the Chaos Emeralds is exactly the same order as the ones in Sonic Generations. So, pretty swell stuff. And hold on just a moment, guys. Okay, quick error right there, because I got slightly interruptions with Mario and the gang, but even then, let's just get on with this video, shall we? Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic Lost World from the Nintendo Wii U/PC. So last time, we did manage to able to completely done with Lava Mountain Zone, and we did have some plenty of deaths for this point. Well, the only time exception, it was ironically, it was on the final boss, because, you know, this is one of the easiest final boss in Sonic history, as far as modern Sonic games are concerned. So, and also, as you can see, we got ourselves all 7 of those Chaos Emeralds right now. So, yeah, everything's gone pretty swell at this point, and there is no need to able to get even more red star rings from now on, though, because we are simply done with the rest. So, yeah, today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be continue on and exploring through the 8th and probably the final main world of the game, and that is, of course, the Hidden World, which, by access to it, is by simply beat the game first. So, not much anything else special requirement or anything like that, it's just a very simple, like, completing the final main world, or in this case, World 7, which is usually, you know, Lava Mountain level. So, yeah, you probably get the idea to see how this will go. Now, before we get this thing started, however, though, we need to go ahead and farm more of those flickies, because as far as I'm aware, that on the Wii U version of this game, that the maximum amount of, you know, these flickies that you need to able to access to the last act on the Hidden World, that will have to be 7,000 flickies, which might take a while to able to actually just to collect them, but thankfully though, once you collect enough of those red star rings, this is where the circus tent comes in. That way you can able to actually farm even more of those flickies as a result, assuming if you actually be good at it. Even though I'm not very exactly expert at it per se, but at least I'm doing slightly decent at it. So because of that though, there's going to be one of those emphasis on the forms of like, well, I will say for this matter though, that until the final part of this particular Let's Play, that we might be able to see the circus tents for a final time for this video, because even then, after this, and during the likes of it, well, I would say for the last video for Sonic Lost World for the Wii U Let's Play, I figure I'm actually gonna save that up and during at the 17th of June, because at this point is that tomorrow. That, of course, me and Pinkie Pie need to get back onto Super Mario Party tomorrow, and especially noticeable for the entire weekend and stuff like that, which I'm sure enough we'll mention more details about this during that time. And especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that whenever we try to get onto, like, the 22nd to the 23rd of June, I don't think there's any uploading schedules for Super Mario Party for the time being, because there was actually that particular upcoming redo Let's Play we might actually consider tackling through, and I thought to myself, well, since that Piccolo had already mentioned about this several times, which is of course Klonoa Daughter Phantom Isle Nintendo Wii Remake, that way I can able to actually just able to do that particular redo Let's Play for the time until, let's just say the 23rd of June, because I don't think there's any uploading schedules, not to mention with the Super Mario Party schedule recordings, but it's also the fact of the matter is though, is that until 21st of June, which is the exact same day as Toy Story 4 is about to come out for the big screen on the cinema, this also means is the fact that there won't be any uploading schedules uploads in June, Friday the 21st of June, and especially noticeable for the 22nd of June, because me and Tiana were decided to able to actually just to go out and decide to hang around for a bit, even though as a holiday vacation. So, it's only for about a weekend or so, but don't worry, we'll be back for the uploading schedules recordings and during 23rd of June, which is roughly the exact same day as Sonic the Hedgehog will be turning into 28 years old at this point this year. So even then though, I'm actually quite surprised to see how that will actually turn out to be, because even then, today's day is the forms of the 14th of June, in this case in 2019, and speaking of Toy Story 4, we've only got about a week left now until that film finally come out, and I'm really hyped for it. I don't think I can able to see it on day one though, because, well, obviously me and Tiana will have to spend most of our time with each other for spending our time on a holiday vacation at somewhere at the hotel for that Sparrows, for Tiana to able to hang around with. So even then, we might as well able to like say that for that update for this point right now. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that solution here. So even then though, I think I might actually go ahead and just hit on to the last circus tent for now on though, because it seems we don't have that enough to able to actually unlock the last acts for the hidden world. Even though this might take a while to able to actually unlock everything, specifically for you know, just trying to get some more flickies and all that stuff. So you probably get the idea for that, what I'm going to be able to get on with this kinds of stuff. So yeah, you probably get the idea to see how much of a factor about this particular mechanics like this. So, but still, I think it makes it a little bit more slightly easier this time around though, when it comes to like farming those flickies, because we don't have to deal with the seesaws. Well, I wouldn't say that much until now, because whenever we get to the Lava Mountain Circus tent, eventually, if I don't have that enough of those flickies for the time, well, I think that might be the case. So, but anyway, and it looks like we actually once again popped up every single balloons, potentially, ever since in Silent Forest. So, that's pretty swell stuff. So, even then, let's go ahead and get some more rings before you do anything for distraction, even though it doesn't really add that much other than just your score count. So, but speaking of which, on the PC version of the game, you don't necessarily see the scores on the, well, you do see the score tally on the PC version, on the actual computer monitor. Whilst in forms of the Wii U version, the only time you can actually see the score-based points, it was actually on the Wii U gamepad. So, that's as far as I can say about it. So here we go, folks, on to the first level in Hidden World, and this is kind of bizarre, because, well, first level we can actually, you know, experience on, that is, of course, like going from planetoid to planetoid. You know, it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it on the Super Mario Galaxy, where every time you defeat that particular ugly cube enemy right there, you know, you can only do that with a simple kick or homing attack, then you can launch onto the other side. So at first I thought to myself, you can able to actually go to the other side with, the simple walk or anything like that, but no, it's just that every time you defeat that cube, then you weren't able to actually launch yourself onto the other side of a cube. So, then keep that in mind. This is very bizarre, because, well, originally that you're supposed to be able to do it several times, but in order to actually complete the level, you need to let the time run out. So, yeah, it's a little bit weird, because even then, though, every time, also not to mention, though, when you start the level off, you get yourself 30 seconds as a spare, but, the more you do this, though, is the fact that you won't add up to your 10 seconds time limit. So, and you really don't want to fall off to the actual, like, flip the panels death right there, because if you somehow do, well, you need to go through the entire process of this level again. And plus, as a result, you need to wait for about another 30 seconds to finish the level. So, yeah, it seems a waste of time, because expecting that you would able to farm some more flickies on that level, but honestly, go for the circus levels, because, well, or the circus tents, I should say, because that was the easiest way to able to farm those animals, or in essentially, flickies as a result. So, you go, it might be like a Rubik's Cube design of the level. So, anyways, let's move on to Hidden World Zone 2, which, even though we have ourselves a different gimmick, which we have riding on the tornado sequence ever since in Sky Chase Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Sonic Pocket Adventure, and heck, even with Sonic Adventure. So even then though, it's about time to be able to actually ride on the tornado for once, which reminds me that we haven't seen a single scene with a tornado from, you know, from Windy Hill Zone at the very end of Windy Hill Zone after defeating Zaz. So that's a little bit odd for that little appearance as far as I'm aware. So either way though, that's as far as I can say about it. But what's also pretty sweet is the fact that if you couldn't tell from the background music, that's actually heavily borrowed from Sonic Adventure 2, specifically the remixed version of Believe in Myself song, which is a Tails theme of Sonic Adventure 2, which is pretty cool actually, because even then, even though it's not vocal tracks anymore, because it was instrumental, so you're probably going to be hearing a lot of instrumental stuff has been going on. So, but anyways, enough about that topic, so let's just get on to the actual level itself, where basically all we need to do is basically we need to get to the very end of the level, basically, while simply we need to focusing on the time limit, because if the time runs out, well, except for the forms of the third zone, every single level's, well, except the third zone, which we're about to be hit onto later on, does not have any checkpoints, because if you screw up at least once or twice, you have to restart the entire level again, especially in this part right there, that you really don't touch the control stick at all, so that way you can able to bypass that thinner intersection right there. So even then, that's pretty cool for that level though, at least that's the only level I do really like. but the only time you do need to watch out for is, of course, the enemies, and especially noticeable those walls that you might actually crush into. So, but even then, as a matter of fact, though, if you let the tornado get crushed onto the actual, well, you know, for the actual any single walls, that's an instant death right off the bat. So even then, because of this, though, you need to watch out for that at all costs. So, yeah, that's as far as I can say about that level. So, and speaking of which, let's head on to the forms of the circus tent for the final time for this Let's Play, because even then, that way we could able to have a minimum amount of animals that we can able to have, because after all, we are so close to able to get up to 7,000 or something, because even then, although unfortunately though, we need to deal with the seesaw thing, which, screw the seesaws, because that was pretty tricky to handle. So even then though, that was it, folks, and hopefully, that should able to reach up to 7,000, which is at the most minimum we can able to get up to. Not sure about the PC version though, because again, I haven't really looked upon the PC version as much. So, here we go, onto Hidden World Zone 3, where basically everything else is entirely in 3D, and as a result though, we need to get onto the forms of those different colored tiles, which, if you manage to step onto the forms of that light blue tiles, it will slowly disappear. So it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it on Super Mario Galaxy, and also the same applies for Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well, that in those two games, because, you know, those two, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, they both share the exact same gameplay elements, but except the fact that with brand new levels and stuff like that, but even then, so, and, basically, because, you know these little, green checkerboard, platforms you stepped on in Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2? These platforms will attempt to disappear every time you step on one of them. So, yeah, it's kind of like the same thing for here, but except the fact that we are actually playing a Sonic game, at least for that assistance, mind you. So, again, strangely bizarre, because even then, because, well, there's also kind of a little bit, well, I don't mind about the forms of that techno-pop music, but it's just that it gets a little bit ear-grating once in a while, because even then, that's the only, music I'm not exactly particularly fond of, to be honest with you, because, well, it's just that it's not my kind of thing for my music taste. At least I prefer the regular levels music. As far as Windy Hill Zone is a very catchy one, obviously, and Wonder World is also a very, very good soundtrack, even though it's not vocal per se, but there's actually a YouTube video that they did manage to able to have the vocal version of the Wonder World's theme song, and oh my god, my jump button does not come out. It's so delayed again. Oh god, I'm having a hard time trying to jump in this game sometimes because, well, you know. Now, if you guys are probably wondering that about the fact that if you do manage to collect all 7 of those Chaos Emeralds, that once again you are able to actually access to Super Sonic in this game, which, just like the forms of how it does it on Sonic Colors on the Nintendo Wii, and heck, even with the forms of Sonic Generations, of all things, if you complete the final boss, and also get a free update from Sonic Forces, you will once again transform into Super Sonic and of all things. So you probably get the idea. I missed that checkpoint! Oh my god, I'm so stupid right now. I am so stupid. Oh jeez. Hopefully though, we should be able to actually proceed for this though. I think it's safe to say that between these two levels, as far as coming up, like this one can be a little bit tricky, especially with some trickier platforming as far as I'm most likely evolved off, and I have to go all the way back here due to the fact that I missed that goddamn checkpoint from the start of it. So, oh jeez, that's probably my fault because, well, I was a little bit too hasty at points. So hopefully though, with the spin dash jumping, then I should be able to actually reach to higher areas, or even in this case, hard to reach areas. So that's pretty cool stuff. So there's also some other things I could show off, like for instance, there's actually the RC vehicles to the actual toolbox and stuff like that, which I would show off, but I don't think I've got enough time for that, and plus I haven't really unlocked everything throughout, because in order to actually get the some more RC vehicles to the mix, is that you can either just deal with more grinding for some more of those flickies if you want to top it all off, or you can able to actually just to complete those missions, if depends of how you would like it. So, but for me, it's not my kind of thing, honestly, because even though, aside from like, I've already just collected every single red star rings after all by myself. Mind you, I have to use so many items for the time, like for instance in the actual briefcase, like the normal regular shield, and especially noticeable with you know, the electric shield, and 10 more extra rings, and you know the other jazz. So yeah, that's as far as I can say about this level, though. Again, kind of there for the sake of the earphones of the actual level design like this. But oh yeah, you need to be very careful with this last part, by the way, because otherwise, if you failed on that, somehow strangely enough, though, the end of the level is just almost right near to the actual portal machine. Very much exactly like, well, this kind of reminds me of that exactly same sequence from Big Hero 6 film. Which, again, I accidentally spoiled for you guys, for those who have not seen the film yet, which is a very good film, actually. But even then, though, it's not my favorite Disney films I've ever seen, but it's a very good one nonetheless. But even then, though, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. So anyways, now let's move on to the true final level in the whole entire game, and that is Hidden World Zone 4. And this... oh man, this is weird. Because, first of all, you're in the 2D plane, which is obvious. And second of all, you're actually going to be hop onto bubble to bubble without even, like, sort of consequences. And also, to top it all off, you need to be very careful between these screen transmissions, because if you somehow touch the ceiling or the ground, and I believe the wall as well, between either left or right, it's instant death. So you have to avoid the actual scenery at all times. So, yeah, it's kind of bizarre indeed. And also, what's also bizarre, there is this weird Pac-Man looking enemies. Oh my god, Sonic, are you threatening Pac-Man? We're supposed to be the video game mascot friends, because after all, for that Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo Wii U, and heck, even recently Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, at least, you know, Sonic and Pac-Man did manage to cope with each other from that particular fighting game and stuff like that, including Mega Man and Mario, of course, duh. And also Ryu from Street Fighter, and Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, it's weird, man. It's so weird. And there's also that many people seem to criticize about this level is the fact that this is generally the hardest level of the whole game, easily without doubt. Well, I think, seems to say to me though, this is actually my second hardest level of the whole game. Well, originally I was going to say that Frozen Factory Zone Act 2 might be the hardest or the second hardest level due to the red star ring system, but at least I thought I might as well say this now. This will be my third hardest level of the game. So, and when we get towards the end of this level though, right there, and thankfully though it's more continuous, unlike any forms of how it does it on Lava Mountain Zone Act 3, in the second phase of the Zavok boss fight, that it's only pretty much limited, but in this is that you can able to continuously moving along. So, at least that's okay, I suppose, for that specific knowledge. So, and at this particular sequence right there, we actually face off against with a furry version of Pac-Man. Oh boy, this is gonna get a little bit more chaotic, or in this case, complicated at the same time, because in order to actually defeat him, you must send these spike balls right back at him. But here's the thing, you need to judge the angle of the actual jumping between bubble to bubble, because again, if you touch the ceiling or the ground, then it's instant death, and also, since there are no checkpoints whatsoever, then you have to go through all that slow auto-scrolling section all over again. So, yeah, definitely a little bit more of a trickier level indeed, if only if the fact that the spike balls managed to able to pop from left or right or all over the place once in a while, because even then though, once you're able to get hit like I think you only get like 2 hit chance to able to actually survive in this level though, which fundamentally though, I did not meant to able to get hit by those spike balls progressively. So yeah, it only has like 3 hit points for that furry Pac-Man right there, because I know some people seem to able to always call it that, because look at him. He looks incredibly like Pac-Man, but except the fact that he's not yellow, and plus he's actually a little bit more furry, but with a different pattern with the color. So yeah, again, it's super bizarre indeed. So anyways though, as you can tell, we're actually on the third and final phase of the fight, which basically, every now and then is the fact that he's now setting the actual bouncy barrier around him. Then as soon as you're able to deal with the all 3 hits of that furry Pac-Man right there, just make sure you don't die at the very end, because if you do, well, you have to redo the entire level again. So, and even then, once you're done with all that, then the level is actually done. So, yeah, Hidden World is somewhat hit or miss. Like, for instance, I really don't mind the third zone and the second zone, because even though these the only 2 levels I don't mind at all, but zone 1 is a bit of a waste of time for my liking, and zone 4 is just really bizarre to me, because even then though, yeah, it's pretty bizarre indeed. So anyways though, that's pretty much it for the Hidden World, and I think we should probably show off the last thing of this video before we move on to the true finale of this Let's Play until the 17th of June. I will say this up until now. And that is, if you collect all the 7 Chaos Emeralds, as I said before, it allows you to able to transform into Supersonic once again. So even then, once again, we need to collect about 50 of those rings in order to actually access to Supersonic right here. So you probably get the idea. And one thing I forgot to mention is that every time you beat the level, you can able to go back into the previous level to actually just to participate for time attack stages and all that stuff, which you can do that, which I think that might be the only time it shows you the ranking system of time attack mode. So even then though, that's as far as I can say about it. So since we got about 70 of those rings, and let's go ahead and transform into Supersonic once again, and hopefully we should... What the hell's going on with my model? Why do I got 2 mouths? Ruined forever, Sega. Oh jeez. So anyways though, here's the Supersonic in Sonic Lost World on the Wii U version, is that you know about any forms within Sonic Lost World on the 3DS, where basically in order to actually, you know, get the Chaos Emeralds, just go for the worst special stages in the entire game. So you probably get the idea. And unlike any forms of Sonic Colors, as you can see right there, you can actually able to actually deactivate Supersonic once you're trying to use the, your color power, which I think it does manage to help you out for the entire journey, but even then though, is it worth Supersonic in the end? Kinda. Well, at least Supersonic is cool and all, but even then, it feels way more better than any forms of how it does it on Sonic Generations version of Supersonic, is that because the only problem with Sonic Generations version of Supersonic is that every time you boost, it drains your rings so much, and at least in the forms of how, well, your rings will be still depleted if you're in super form and stuff like that, which is pretty obvious for the actual Sonic game like this, but in Sonic Generations, every time you boost, it drains your rings so many seconds. Well, if you mess, you still need to be able to use your boost, but thankfully though, it's way more better than any forms of how it does it on Sonic Generations in my opinion, because, well, at least even then though, because, you know, it doesn't drain rings that much. Well, sometimes it gets a little bit stiff every time you actually use one, but apart from that though, it's a little bit more average, I suppose. But it's just really painful about the fact that you have to go through the entire trial and error when it comes to getting those red star rings, of course. So even then though, that will be your ultimate challenge, as far as I can usually say about this for the time. So, but yeah, you get the idea for that point. But at least unlike in the 3DS version is the fact that Supersonic actually has 1 mouth to top it all off. Because even then though, that I have no idea why the Wii U version, I'm pretty sure the PC version as well, that Sonic actually, or Supersonic has 2 mouths. I'm guessing it's maybe something to do with the 2D perspective, which it might be something related to that, but again, it's been such a long time since I actually played this game, you know. And aside from everything else though, like the RC cars, as I said before, the RC vehicles and all that stuff, I would show those off, but it's probably not my time of able to actually show that off. So even then though, well, you can also manage to use Supersonic against with the forms of the Deadly Six, of course, and especially notable with the final boss against with Dr. Eggman, of course. But even then, I'm not going to show this off, because even then though, well, let me know in the comments below if, about the fact that, well, what you think of Supersonic in this game, despite the fact that he actually has like 2 mouths, which I think is awfully distracting if you ask me, which I kind of wish that they actually fixed that, but no it doesn't, because even I know that this game is almost 6 years old at this point, and during October of this year, so yeah, you probably get the idea for that. So, anyways, I think it's soon to say we're getting endings off at this point right there, so join me next time on Let's Play Sonic Lost World for the Nintendo Wii U. Is the fact that we're about to be showing off the DLC stages from Nights into Dreams, Yoshi, and the Legend of Zelda zones. So, I'll see you guys on Monday, so see you guys then. Later, fellas.